Hello, this is Ethan with Chaos, and today we'll be going over the installation video of the Chaos V12 Apollo M-LOK rail. Now this is the V12L, which is the extended handguard in comparison to our 6-inch handguard. It's about 2 inches longer, much more real estate there for mounting anything you would like. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I would like to mention this weapon has been checked. It's clear and safe. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and set this aside. I'm going to strip the weapon. Pull the spring and bolt assembly out. And rotate our gas tube lever up here. Get our gas tube pulled out. Okay, now we're ready to start installing. Now, a few things I would like to note about this handguard in particular. We do not recommend using Loctite on any of the fasteners aside from the forward and rear set screws. The reason that is these flathead taper screws taper lock themselves. They are almost impossible to get out if you put Loctite on them. You won't get them back out. They taper lock. They're very solid. They will not back out on their own, and also they are supplied with a they're pre-lubricated on the inside of the head here to keep these from locking to the part. You do not want to remove that lubricant, and we'll get into that later. So let's go ahead and take the top portion of our handguard off. This is a 3/32 Allen wrench. These do come pre-assembled, as you see when they ship. Now this one does happen to be an M-LOK handguard. We do offer these as well in key mod, just like the rest of our new Apollo handguards are offered in M-LOK and both key mod. So let's go ahead and get that pulled off there. Okay, now when it comes to the installing the lower portion of the handguard, there's a forward key and a rear key in this handguard. The rear key you do not have to move for installation. The forward key will have to be unscrewed and moved rear in order to fit it on. Now, we back these screws here out, these set screws, to make it a little bit easier and to install, to make sure they're not bumping in against the barrel as where you would see here. So those are more than out of the way down there. Okay. We're going to be using an 1/8 inch Allen wrench to remove this flathead on the forward key. And you will have to remove this set screw to move it. Okay. So we're going to just slide that to the back as such. Okay, let me get this out of the way. I'm going to pull your retaining bracket here on the barrel forward as much as possible. You want to slip the handguard onto your retaining bracket, and then you want to slide that back into the receiver here, as such. Okay. Now you want to make sure this is flush to your receiver. Otherwise, when you go to put your gas tube back in, this won't align and it won't allow you to put it on. So let's make sure that's flush. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and run that down. Now we're going to want to scoot this key here up into that front retaining bracket until you line up your holes. You have to have the two lined up there, otherwise it won't mount. So we're going to go ahead and mount this one back in here. You just want to snug it. You don't have to get crazy with it. Put our set screw back in there. And now before you tighten these up, like I said, make sure it's flush to your receiver. Okay. Now we're going to leave that a little loose, just to make getting the gas tube back on there much easier for us. So we can back it off right there. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our gas tube back in. Okay, you see here there's a notch right here where it fits right against the front of that. Like I said, if you didn't have that flush, this would be pushed too far forward as such, and it won't fit. So we got to have that up in there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and lock that in. Okay, now that we have that, you can go ahead and snug up these set screws to pull it against your retaining bracket here and against the receiver. And like I said, we do only recommend Loctite on these two screws, blue Loctite in particular. Anything else heavier would be just about too much. Let's see here. Snug that, snug that. Okay, now that we have that, you want to go ahead and install the upper portion of the handguard. Now this has cutaways to slip right over the retaining bracket there, and a cutaway to clear your gas tube back here. So we're going to go ahead and put these screws back in here. And I like to leave everything a little loose until I get it fully assembled. That way if something doesn't line up, we can go back and adjust it. But for the most case, everything will line up just perfectly. And also, as I've mentioned, these handguards are available in key mod as well as M-lock. Okay, go down here, make sure everything is properly set. Okay, now she's all tight. We're going to go ahead and put the bolt assembly back in there with the spring. And she's ready to take to the range. I appreciate your time. You have a good day.